Representative Runbeck, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Can you describe your district and tell us in what ways you and your district are similar?
I have 5 small cities, and none of them would you call property wealthy. I mean, we have very little commercial property wealth. So I suppose at one time they would have been called bedroom communities, but of course, the city has grown up so fast that these are thriving, burgeoning suburbs. So, but yeah, there's not a lot of commercial out there. So you have families, you have trails, you have parks, you have schools, and a couple of smaller shopping centers, and that's about it. Well, it's largely single-family residences. So you have a lot of kids, a lot of local sports activities. Athletics is a big thing. Yeah, it's probably reflects me. I think there's a lot of private sector employment, a lot of business owners, a lot of self-employed people. And so we have, very, high quality school system, good graduation rates. I mean, you kind of have things that are in balance, We have good solid family structures, and so I think that all fits.
Can you describe what you do outside of the Capitol?
I'm in a transition in my life. So at one time when I was in the Capitol, I used to go directly and immediately to my other job in the private sector, and I did that for about 6 years. It's very difficult. I mean, I empathize with heads of households who have to do that. At this point in time, both my husband and I are part-time retired. So he maintains a practice in accounting, and we have a small business that we are somewhat involved in, but it's not taking a lot of our time. So. We have looked at, we're looking at how people who retire in Minnesota. So that's sort of where we're at in terms of our life cycle. But trying to get to know the new districts the new cities that I represent, one being Hugo. So Hugo is a very interesting older town. So yeah, just trying to, be out there and exploring what's happening.
What do you see as the biggest challenge the state will face in the next 10 years?
The biggest challenge, I would guess, is the burgeoning population of elderly. It's going to, really put a significant cost burden on our health and human services. You're going to see, and many more families are going to be taking care of elderly. That's one of the things that's my life has revolved around recently, is a parent with a stroke, and so that has consumed a lot of time. I think, frankly, I think Minnesota's at the maximum in terms of how much it can, how many new sources of revenue it can find. I think we have to learn to live within our means, and we have to reduce the spending, the appetite for spending that government has to what is more realistic in terms of revenue growth. I think the whole job environment is going to change. You have the opportunity for small businesses to grow, but they actually, compared with the past, a new small business only requires, only employs 3 to 4 people as a startup. In the past, maybe it was 6 to 8 people. So, the pressure for jobs is going to be extreme, and are we going to be the place, where these will grow?
What is the most difficult aspect of being a legislator?
For me, it's prioritizing. I mean, and especially the longer I've been in office, I have, expertise in more areas. There are more things you'd like to try to, sit down, put together a work group and try to resolve. I think there's a certain frustration that, we don't resolve big issues. We don't ever tackle, and certainly not in a bipartisan way. We need to. No longer can we afford to look at Minnesota and its future solely from a Democrat standpoint or solely from a Republican standpoint. No, we have about this much room in the middle now to think about how we better manage our existing government, how we get more out of it, how it addresses the needs better of our citizenry. But we're going way to extremes, in terms of hoping legislation will pass. I mean, we've got a bullying bill this session, which is holy crazy. It's going to do things no one is asking government to do. Our school districts are already doing it. Parents are being taken out of the role of really, supervising children, to the extent that they would help have a role in encouraging non-bullying activity. It's a horrendous bill. It proves to me the excesses that progressive government wants to go to regulate our personal lives, the individual lives of families and parents and children. Progressives want to control everything we do. They want a perfect society. They think everything can be made beautiful. It's, and they want government to go along with the monitoring of all these kinds of new laws. So I think we have reached the limit. And I mean, I was here 20 years ago, and yeah, maybe there were some small things we needed government and statute to do. We have things in statute that shouldn't be in statute, and we have certainly new programs that no one has challenged the worth of, but way overextend government's role and the cost to run a government of this dimension.
If given the chance, who would you like to be for a day, or who would you like to exchange roles with?
Oh my gosh, I would love to be governor. I would love to be in that role. I bet everyone has said that, right? No? Okay. Sure. I mean, to have an opportunity to call, every one of those department heads into my office, every big business CEO to find out what they're thinking, that's what I would do if I was governor. I'd be out there in their offices, finding out how government can serve them better.